Fiduciary, relationship of trust and confidence. The word fiduciary means trust or confidence, and it is used in conjunction with relationships. A fiduciary relationship is a relationship of trust and confidence. We deal with people every day from whom we expect and receive a fiduciary relationship. Our spouse, significant other, business partners, teammates, lawyers, accountants, school teachers, etc. We are hurt when these relationships fall short of such an expectation. The word can be used as a noun, as in our real estate agent is a fiduciary, or a person we have every right to expect a fiduciary relationship from. We expect agents to do what is in our best interest. It's their job. It's what agency is. A fiduciary relationship or a relationship of trust and confidence. False promise. To lie about what someone else has promised to do. False promise is one of the many reasons the real estate commissioner may suspend a real estate license. Others may include obtaining a license by fraud, convictions, false advertising, negligence, or incompetence, inducement of panic selling, as well as other basic violations of dealing properly with people. False promise is making a false statement about what someone else has promised or said he or she will do. A false promise is a lie about what someone else has promised to do. Related words: misrepresentation. Consideration: thing of value offered in a contract. A valid contract requires legally competent parties, mutual consent, lawful object, and acceptable consideration. Consideration is something of value offered and can include a promise of future money, property, parentheses, real or personal, end parentheses, or personal services. The bilateral contract is an agreement for a promise for a promise. Buyer promises to pay the agreed upon price. Seller promises to turn over the property. The promise on both sides is consideration. Fulfillment of the contract has money as consideration in one direction and the property as consideration in the other direction of the bilateral parentheses, two-way end parentheses, contract. Related words: contract. Assemblage, putting several properties together to increase value. Assemblage is the process of joining together several separate properties to increase the overall value of the properties. An example would be that because several properties are too small to build an apartment building on, by joining them, the apartment building can be built. The three properties are much more valuable when joined than when separate. Assemblage is the name for the process of joining the properties or the name for the group of the assembled properties. Devise or device. Gift of real property by will. The words bequest and legacy both refer to gifts of personal property through a will. A devise is a gift of real property by will. Related words: bequest, legacy. Disclosure of agency. Disclosing single or dual agency. The disclosure of agency process involves disclosure, elect, and confirm, parentheses, DEC, end parentheses. The disclosure of agency aspects deals with the fact that dual agency involves an inherent conflict of interest between seller and buyer, parentheses, the principles in the agency relationship, end parentheses. Dual agency is when an agent represents both the seller and the buyer, parentheses, hence, quote, dual, end quote, end parentheses. The seller wants to sell at the highest price possible, and the buyer wants to buy at the lowest price possible. That is the tension that two single agency agents are supposed to pursue. Dual agency makes it less likely these two opposing goals can be fully met. Still, with full disclosure, sellers and buyers have every right to elect and confirm a dual agent. Disclosure of agency is making the details of the agency relationship clear to the principal. Assignment. Transferring rights and responsibilities to another person. An assignment is a transferring of rights and responsibilities for a lease or contract to another person or entity. The person doing the assigning is the assignor or principal, and the person receiving the assignment is the assignee. Assignment does not relieve the principal from obligation of the responsibilities of the contract or lease. A novation is required for that to happen. A novation is a complete transfer. A novation is not just a transferring of the rights and responsibilities to another person, but a substitution of one principal for another. An assignment is the transferring of rights and responsibilities for a lease or contract to another person or entity. Related words: assignor, assignee, novation. Continuing education. Real estate license holders must keep learning. Real estate license holders are required to continue their learning. Most states require additional classes to renew licenses. Go to your state's website for details. Eminent domain. Government right to take property at fair market value. Eminent domain is the concept that the government has the right to take real property for its uses at fair market value. When I was a kid, the home my family rented had the majority of its lawn taken by the right-of-way for the 210 freeway in Pasadena, California. The owner of the property did not have the right to hold up the installation of a freeway, which presumably is for a greater good. I wasn't privy to the transaction, but the law requires the government to pay that owner fair market value for that property. The right of the government to do this is called eminent domain. Executory contract. Contract in the process of being completed. An executed contract is either a signed contract or a completed contract. An executory contract is one which is in the process of being completed, but is not yet complete. An executory contract is a contract which is waiting for one or both parties to yet fulfill some obligation under the contract. An executory contract is a contract in the process of being completed.